On August 5th, 2009, Dalia Dippolito's life changed forever.
Thank you for coming. I'm sorry to call you.
First, police tell her her husband is dead.
Is your husband Michael? Okay, I'm sorry to tell you, ma'am. He's been killed.
Then she's told she's been caught on tape planning his murder.
You're going to jail.
I didn't do anything, please. I didn't do anything.
Don't tell me you didn't do anything.
I didn't do anything.
You're going to jail today.
You kept saying, I didn't do anything. Just over and over and over again. Was that all you could think of to say?
They were accusing me of trying to have my husband killed, and I didn't. So that's what I kept continuously telling them.
When they turn the table, she doesn't fess up. She just keeps denying everything. And lacking that confession, they kept trying to shock her more and more.
And this is the part where what happens in that police department will go down in the history of detective work. This is a masterstroke.
The ultimate shock, you could call it a resurrection of sorts. Police tell her that her dead husband isn't actually dead.
Your husband is well and alive.
Thank God.
Oh, yeah, thank God.
Please, can I see
No, he
him?
doesn't want to see you.
They bring Mike in. Look, your husband's alive. We've got you.
Oh my God.
He's alive.
The show Cops is at the station capturing Mike's reaction.
Come here, please. Come here.
She keeps begging him to come inside the room, which he doesn't.
Mike, come here. Come here, please.
She sees her husband, and he's alive. What? You're alive?
This is a dead man walking and talking. You never see this happen.
I can't fix this.
Why not? I didn't do anything
I
to
heard you.
Mike, come here, please. Come here.
All of her skills as a femme fatale will start rolling in. Mike, come here, baby, come to me.
With cameras rolling inside and outside the interrogation room, it is reality TV on steroids.
I don't know what's going on, please.
For Mike Dippolito, it's a surreal love story that quickly turned into a nightmare.
He never saw it coming. For Mike, this was a whirlwind romance. He was head over heels in love with Dalia.
I met Dalia and we got along very well. There was never any friction. We never argued. How can I say? Our sex life was incredible.
Meanwhile, the entire time she's plotting behind his back.
There's this side to his wife he has no idea about.
Mike Dippolito insists that the accusations made by Dalia Dippolito that he is abusive are totally false. Still, Dalia secretly wants out of the relationship. And authorities say if she can get out with a pile of Mike's money, that's even better.
Mike Dippolito still owed $191,000 restitution, and he was on probation for decades. If he could make that restitution, he could make an argument to get off probation.
But he says Dalia told him she could help him with that.
Dalia said, if you can come up with $100,000, I will take $91,000 of my own. I'll put it with your money and we'll send it to the lawyer together. It was her responsibility to wire the money to Mike's lawyer.
She says she's helping him. He thinks that she is. But in reality, she's doing anything but helping him.
Soon, Mike notices odd things are starting to happen.
Before I met her, I don't think I had a run-in with the police since I've been home from prison. I meet her, I'm running into the cops more than I ran into the cops probably ever in my life.
Mike will soon find out that someone is trying to frame him for crimes he didn't commit.
On 2 occasions, drugs were planted in his vehicle. Mike decides to take Dalia away for a couple of days to the Ritz-Carlton. Mike is stopped by a police officer, and the police officer tells Mike that they had received an anonymous call saying that he was dealing drugs out of his Tahoe.
He goes, do you mind if we search? I said, absolutely, go ahead. He searched the truck, didn't find anything. It was very odd. And then the next day, I go to get gas in the truck, and I find a bag of pills. It looked like cocaine in there, and that's when that hit me. I said, wait a minute. You know, somebody put this in my truck and called the police on me. They just didn't find it.
Authorities say Dalia figures he's an ex-con, and if she can get him sent away for drugs, he'll be gone for a really long time, and she's home free.
I remember I looked at Dalia, I said, "Did you put drugs in my truck?" She adamantly denied it, so I let it go. Fine, fine. But you know, every instinct's telling me that it doesn't make sense.
In fact, according to authorities, what she's really trying to do is get Mike Dippolito out of her life.
And that $100,000 he'd given to Dalia, she was supposed to wire it to his lawyer, but she hadn't.
I knew clearly she stole my money. She's telling me she's gonna get it back, and I'm doing everything in my power to believe her.
He just stays in the relationship. He seemed to be, I don't know, for lack of a better word, a chump for love.
Your ex-husband, Michael, claims you stole a lot of money from him. Money that was supposed to be used to pay his restitution. Did that happen?
No, it's money that he was hiding.
Police say that after her plot to try to get him jailed doesn't work, she ups the ante.
One morning, he gets a knock at the door.
We knocked on his door, and we actually woke him up.
All I see is a bunch of cops, and I'm like, oh boy. I go downstairs.
Police department, open your door.
I hesitantly open the door.
First, he didn't know what was going on.
I thought they were there to arrest me.
And we ended up telling him what we were there for.
You have to come with us. Your wife's gonna have you killed today.
Your wife has hired a person to kill you.
Relax, just
relax.
Take it easy.
Clearly, this just hits him like a ton of bricks. I mean, he literally takes a step back.
We ended up taking him out of the house and driving him straight to the Point Beach Police Department.
They already know why we're here. Your wife hired somebody to kill you.
I also played a little bit of audio where she says, hey, I'm 5,000% sure that I want him killed.
I'm positive, like 5,000% sure.
It wasn't like, you know, kill him softly, don't hurt him. It was like, you know, just blow the guy's brains out and, you know, can I get a cheese sandwich with that?
Even from behind bars, Dalia is not finished trying to manipulate Mike Dippolito when she makes an astonishing phone call.
Well, hello. Hey, it's me.
Yeah, what's up?
Nothing, Mike. Please come here.
Is she ready to confess, or is this something else?
Everybody asked me, why'd you take the phone call? I had to take the phone call.
As Dalia Dippolito is being led out of the Boynton Beach Police Department and over to the Palm Beach County Jail, she has an audience.
The press, having seen the video released by police, is there to greet her.
Already, the media is out there with their cameras capturing it.
I didn't do anything, and I didn't plot anything.
You were headed to jail. What was that first night like?
It was a complete nightmare. I wasn't even officially in jail as the tapes were getting released, and they were already all over the news. They were everywhere.
Till death do them part. And it's all caught on video.
In the hours since the police released the tape to YouTube, the name Dalia Dippolito is making the rounds and is making a big giant splash on cable TV.
Bombshell tonight.
A newlywed in Boynton Beach, Florida.
Work it, cry. Problem, Ruh-roh, the hitman, is a cop. I could just watch the video over and over. It just is one of those clips that never gets old. The crying, the screaming, the bending over. Meryl Streep, wherever you are tonight, don't worry, you're safe.
You became a headline around the world. Everyone knew your name.
It was awful.
While in jail, Dalia makes a few tearful phone calls, first to her mother.
Hello? Mom, I'm in jail. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything.
You did. I know you didn't. I know you didn't. Okay. How many times did I tell you to leave that guy? How many times did I tell you?
But her next phone call is unfathomable. From the jail, she calls Mike, the man police say she has just tried to have killed, and offers him no apologies.
Well, hello. Hey, it's me.
Yeah, what's up?
Nothing, Mike. Can you please come here?
Everybody asked me, why'd you take the phone call? I had to take the phone call. I had to hear what she was going to say. I couldn't help myself to not take that phone call.
Mike, please, I need an attorney. Can you please help me?
You said you wanted to have me killed. I heard that. It's not true.
That is not true.
Not true.
How can you believe that?
I heard your voice.
Frankly, it's unbelievable that Dalia called her husband, the victim in this case, the target of her actions, the person she wanted dead, to ask him to help her.
It is just unbelievable to listen to. The fact that she thought that she could demand that Mike help her is just on another level.
And he's even trying to give her advice as to what to do while she's in jail.
You're going to be ran around in there for a little while, a couple days. You need to just try and just go with it. And keep to yourself and don't say a lot.
I know she's never been in there before. I mean, it's not a nice place. I tried to tell her, stop acting, you know, the way you're acting, or you're going to have a rough time in there.
Like, I love you. Everybody treated me awful good.
Things get spelled out for Mike that he was a very lucky man. Prosecutors say that Mike actually survived an earlier attempt on his life.
When Mohammed Shihada was giving a statement to police, he told them that Dalia had poisoned Mike's Starbucks iced tea with antifreeze. So law enforcement, they just ask him, was there ever an incident with iced tea? And Mike then realized that he was a lot closer to his demise than he ever realized.
She went out and came back with some Starbucks iced teas. I take a sip and I spit it out so fast. It was terrible and I didn't think anything of it. I only took one sip. I was sick for about 2 weeks.
Dalia's attorney said she never poisoned Mike.
Mike doesn't end up helping her find an attorney, but the attorney she does find ends up presenting one bizarre, wacky, intriguing defense.
It was a stunt. It was a hoax, a ruse, a plan that Mike Dippolito hoped to capture the attention of someone in reality TV.
You were acting in those tapes?
Yes.
It didn't make an iota of sense to me.
It was so far out of left field that they might just believe it.
We begin with the trial of a Florida woman arrested for plotting to kill her husband.
Your trial. Can you describe what that experience was like for you?
Confusing, really difficult. The cameras were there. The TV shows were actually filming the whole thing as I'm entering the courthouse.
Dalia Dippolito entered the courthouse in a buttoned-up white sweater to meet the men and women who will likely decide her fate.
I have never had a case as a prosecutor that was so strong.
I'm a lot tougher than what I look. I know you see me and you're like, oh, what a cute little girl, whatever. You know, but I'm not.
You will see how determined she was to have Mike Dippolito, her husband, killed.
In opening statements, the prosecutor, Elizabeth Parker, wants to make sure these jurors don't believe that Dalia is this little innocent figure and that she is a much darker, more evil person.
He asked her, "Are you sure you want to kill him?" Without hesitation, as if she had ice running through her veins, she says, "There's no changing. I'm determined already."
My biggest concern, the evidence seemed to be overwhelming. But you have Mike, who's got a shady past. I knew the defense would make him out to be a con man.
Please tell us your name. Michael Dippolito.
What's awesome about this case is that the jury actually gets to hear from the victim. In a plot to kill somebody, the victim is almost always dead.
I don't know how to explain it. I just don't know how to explain it.
He was a likable character. I knew that I just needed to get him on the stand for long enough to have the jury like him too.
What did you think of your marriage?
I thought it was great. I was having fun with my wife. Was getting off probation, I thought. you know?
Did the defendant seem happy?
Yes.
He completely owns up to his past.
I'm a convicted felon. You know, I go to probation every month and report. I hold my head up as high as I can.
On cross-examination, when Dalia Dippolito's lawyer keeps asking him and keeps repeating the word probation, Mike Dippolito bites back and makes the entire courtroom laugh.
You're like a parrot.
A parrot?
Yeah.
What does that mean? I've been called a lot of things. What's a parrot?
Did you do that on probation? Were you on probation? Did you do that on probation? Were you on probation? You know what I'm talking about. I'm just having fun with you. Come on, I'm with you.
You having fun
Yeah.
with me? Let me ask you something. Is this fun, Mr. Dippolito?
This sucks.
Okay.
It's ridiculous. We're not here because of me.
Well,
I might as well, you might as well put me up next. I mean, what are we doing here?
But another Mike is about to make an entrance into the trial. Mike Stanley, an ex-boyfriend of Dalia's,
And you're gonna meet Michael Stanley.
who prosecutors say discussed with Dalia planting the drugs in Mike Dippolito's truck.
So, the prosecution introduced tons of text messages between Dalia and Mike Stanley.
They were talking about everything they wanted to do once Dippolito was out the way.
So their X-rated conversation is read on the stand by Boynton Beach detective Alex Marino.
Do you want my hot, tight body all over you?
You can just see how uncomfortable this police officer is as he's reading these steamy text messages.
Love you so much. I'm so horny for you. Some of the stuff was kind of cheesy. I mean, I had to read it up on the stand. It was not my best moment. Baby, I love you, and I only want to you.
She's telling Mike Stanley, once this guy's gone, you and I can have the life we've imagined. I will have Michael's money, we'll have this condo, everything will be good.
Greed was the very basic core of why Dalia did this.
Parker says when Dalia's plan to put her husband back in prison failed, that's when she took things a step further.
Yeah, but killing somebody, come on. Nobody's gonna be able to point a finger at me.
Determined already. I'm positive, like 5,000% Charlotte.
After the prosecution rests, now it's the defense's turn, and they are going to use that infamous video for their own purposes.
That's where this novel defense theory came into play, a defense theory that was actually a little hard to believe.
The plot for the contract killing of Mike Dippolito was never real.
He comes up with a defense that rocks the community, which is, this was all for a reality show. She knew she was being taped. She and Mike wanted to be stars. So they came up with this idea, and it was all a hoax. It was Mike Dippolito's idea, and Mike Dippolito was in on it, and she's not guilty.
It was a stunt. It was a hoax, a ruse, a plan that Mike Dippolito hoped to capture the attention of someone in reality TV.
Dalia's lawyers claim that Mike and Dalia Dippolito wanted to be famous. They wanted to be like the stars of Cheaters or Jersey Shore.
Selnick presents a computer forensic expert who found that Dalia had searched reality shows on her computer.
The website name is, it says, welcome to realitytvcastingcall.com.
It fits with his obsession about his appearance, his vanity, and others might be interested in his reality.
I was shocked. I mean, where was the evidence that this was a reality show plot?
Dalia, listen to me for a second, okay?
I didn't do anything.
I didn't do anything.
At no time does she ever stand up and say, well, hold on a minute. This was all, Michael, Mohammed, wait a minute, this is all a setup. We were all acting, right? Wouldn't be that the first thing out of your mouth if you're about to be arrested?
And not only that, Mike Dippolito strenuously denied that it had anything to do with reality TV tryouts.
Did you ever have aspirations to be on a reality show?
No.
Did you ever act out any scenarios with a defendant for a reality show?
No. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I couldn't even believe they made something like that up. I don't know what reality show a 40-year-old man, 40-year-old convicted felon could be on.
This defense received a fair amount of eyebrow raising.
She didn't want to kill her husband. She just wanted to be on a reality show.
A pretty shocking twist in the case of the Florida wife caught on tape taking a contract out on her husband. Well, we got to bring in our legal analyst, Dan Abrams, on this one. And Dan, all of us just shook our heads when we heard this.
I've seen a lot of wild and crazy defenses in my day, and this is certainly one of the wildest and one of the craziest. The reaction to this defense was, are you kidding me? This is an almost impossible defense to win. And so I think in order for it to succeed, Dalia Dippolito would have to take the witness stand.
Judge, the defense is going to rest.
But Dalia does not end up testifying.
It was a daily, yes, you're going to testify, no, you're not going to testify. And
Did you want to testify?
Yes, I did.
She's like poison candy. Attractive on the outside, but deadly on the inside.
I was confident in the case that I had presented. I was truly concerned that it was such a bizarre defense.
I've been advised that the jury has reached a verdict.
Except this was nowhere near the end of this story.
Now closing arguments continue in the Dalia Dippolito murder for hire trial.
And this case will go to the jury before lunch.
It was a typically hot day in Florida, but that is not why Dalia Dippolito was sweating. She was facing up to 30 years behind bars.
Waiting for the verdict. What was that like?
It's nerve-wracking. It's just really stressful, really tense.
I've been advised that the jury has reached a verdict.
The jury took just 3 hours to come to a decision.
We find the defendant guilty of solicitation to commit first-degree murder.
I was numb. It wasn't at all what I was expecting to hear.
Verdict, we the jury.
I never had the impression or the understanding from my attorney that losing was a possibility. Everything was always, you know what, we got this.
Wow. We have really good poker faces, apparently.
We all just said, well, she's guilty.
Yeah.
It was just kind of unanimous.
And the defense didn't present anything that really represented this was for a reality TV show.
And she said, I am 5,000% sure. And that did it for me.
There is absolutely no moral justification for your conduct. It was pure evil. I'm sentencing you to 20 years in the Department of Corrections.
I looked at her in that courtroom and I just said to myself, man, this is sad.
I wish we were never here, and as far as the sentence, I'm 5,000% happy with it.
That seemed to be it. Case closed, except this was nowhere near the end of this story.
Everybody thinks, bye-bye, Dalia, that's it. But it turns out she got an appeal.
In the last hours, the Black Widow, Dalia Dippolito, set to walk free.
The appeals court tosses out the conviction.
Dalia's lawyers argue there was a problem during jury selection. And then, 3 years later, a court agrees. And so Dalia Dippolito is getting a new trial.
Were you surprised?
The first piece of good news throughout the whole process.
So now we move on to Dalia round 2. That's right, she's coming back a second time. And this time, there's a new cast of players.
For this second trial, Dalia hires 2 high-profile lawyers she's seen on TV, Mark Eiglarsh and Brian Claypool.
Defense attorney Brian Claypool, nice to see you both.
I am 5,000% sure Dalia Dippolito is innocent.
Dalia's new lawyers allow her to speak publicly for the first time, and that's when I had the opportunity to exclusively interview her.
Your every move is monitored.
Clearly, the strategy was for Dalia to try and undergo a bit of an image rehabilitation.
When people hear the name Dalia Dippolito, what do you think comes to mind?
Everything negative.
Give me 3 words to describe yourself. Who is Dalia Dippolito?
Understanding, sweet, and compassionate.
Because it was a pre-trial interview, Dalia's lawyers wouldn't let her discuss certain parts of the case, particularly those videotapes.
I'm positive, like 5,000% sure. Like.
Did you hire a hitman to kill your husband?
No.
How do you explain then what we saw and what we heard on those videotapes?
I'd like to be able to explain that to you right now, but I can't because the attorneys legally have told me that we're saving that for our day in court.
In our interview, Dalia's lawyer, Brian Claypool, reiterated that reality TV defense that we saw in her first trial.
Dalia, her ex Mike, and this gentleman Mohammed were all part of this collaboration to put together a YouTube video of a scene where they're hiring somebody to kill somebody. They wanted to submit that, post it on YouTube to try to get acting parts. That was the plan. It got out of control.
I'm positive, like 5,000% sure.
5,000% sure, not 100% sure, not 1,000% sure, but 5,000% sure. How do you explain that?
I look at that video and I see somebody who's struggling with whether she's really sure.
She's struggling? What?
Why? Well,
how is she struggling if she's 5,000% sure?
Well, you might find that humorous, but when I hear people say they're sure, I'm 110% sure. She's trying to overcompensate.
As for Mohammed, he denies working with Mike and Dalia to make a video to try and get acting jobs.
Mike Dippolito says he's never even met Mohammed.
What do you say to people who say you're just denying the undeniable, that this is an open and shut case?
That now with the attorneys that I have, so much is coming to light to where it would just be insane to not believe me. The tape was a show, it was a tape. That was the purpose of it.
You were acting in those tapes?
Yes.
But you're telling the truth now?
Yes.
Why should we believe you?
Because it's what happened. It's the truth.
Dalia Dippolito escorted into court by her attorneys for her second trial.
Dalia's second trial is going to shock a lot of people in a number of ways.
Claypool dropped this bomb.
He just throws off like it's nothing. And by the way, if you send her to prison, you're going to be separating her from her infant son. What infant son?
Walking on the sidewalk right now, this doesn't happen very often.
No, this doesn't happen at all. This is the first time I've had a walk in a long time.
Yeah, your every move is monitored.
I took a rare walk with Dalia Dippolito outside her lawyer's office while she was on house arrest, awaiting her second trial. She was living at her mother's house, tethered to an ankle bracelet.
This is what it looks like, and it doesn't come off at all.
You've been living under house arrest for the better part of 5 years, nearly 6 years. What's been the hardest part?
Not knowing when it's over, not being able to leave, watching everybody around me being able to come and go as they want, and I can't do that.
After Dalia's first trial, when she was convicted, prosecutor Liz Parker wrote a book about it called Poison Candy.
This is what she wrote about you. She was poison candy, sweet, delicious, mouth-watering on the outside, but deadly within, and designed to cripple the innocent. What's it like hearing those words?
It's hurtful. When I found out that the book was out, I was suicidal.
Do you think people will change their minds about you when they hear from you in your second trial?
I'd like to believe so.
It's at a pretrial hearing, part of an attempt by her lawyers to get the case dismissed, where Dalia finally has her chance to tell her side of the story under oath.
Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. You take the witness stand on my right.
It's not unusual at all for a defendant to take the stand in a pretrial hearing as long as it's not in front of a jury.
Good afternoon, Ms. Dippolito.
She actually takes the stand, and she gets up and describes that I was acting, she says. I was acting.
We worked together on an acting project. We were all going to work on an actor's presentation to put up on social media.
That did not go well for Dalia. Under cross-examination, the prosecutor, he just tore her story apart. He was, okay, first of all, where's the script? Where are the notes? Wouldn't you have production notes?
Where was your script this day?
What do you mean, where was it?
Where was it?
It wasn't there. We looked at the script and we didn't take it with us.
The prosecution punches holes in this reality TV defense. One of the questions was, if this is all about reality TV, how come you can't clearly see your face, you know, with the cameras in the back of the car?
How come you can't see any of it?
I wasn't the one taking it. I don't know.
She had so many holes in her story, it made no sense.
Her true self shined through. She was so not convincing at that pretrial hearing under oath that the court ruled against her.
She loses the hearing, and so the motion to dismiss the case fails.
9 months later, it's Dalia's second trial.
The high-profile retrial getting underway today in West Palm Beach.
Dalia Dippolito getting a second chance at freedom after her first conviction was overturned.
Trial 2 was handled quite a bit differently by the prosecution. They were going to stick to those videos, and that was it. They didn't even call Michael Dippolito to testify.
Because the rest of the evidence was so powerful, my prosecutors felt that they would just go with the slimmed-down version of the case.
Her words on those videos prove the crime charged.
In the second trial, Dalia's lawyers abandoned this reality TV defense.
The defense focused on the misconduct, they said, of the Boynton Beach Police Department. They were trying to flip the script and put all the blame on the police.
So far, no mention of that reality show acting defense that she had talked about previously.
Gone is this reality TV nonsense. Now they're leveling their charges against the Boynton Beach Police Department because Boynton Beach had brought cops in.
Bad boys, what you gonna do?
That opening theme song, Bad Boys, is so synonymous with the show, a show that is supposed to put a spotlight on the good work police do every day.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
At the beginning, the Boynton Beach Police Department really wanted to highlight their professionalism by participating with the cops' television show, but at the trial, the defense really hammered them and went after them, effectively putting them on trial.
This is a fake crime scene, right? Right?
Yes.
It's all pretend, right?
Yes.
It's all made up, right?
Yes.
And you think that's a good use of taxpayer money?
My opinion doesn't matter.
The presence of the cops' TV show created a frenzy within the Boynton Beach Police Department to manufacture good television. They tossed Dalia Dippolito under the bus. They made this way more than it ever was. And they could care less about her constitutional rights.
The Boynton Beach police say there was no wrongdoing and they were just trying to gather evidence.
Cops filming with the Boynton Beach Police Department had nothing to do with this investigation. It was just a coincidence as far as timing was concerned.
Then the defense pulls out its ace card, and it's a showstopper.
Claypool gets up, he's making this dramatic closing argument, and he just throws off like it's nothing.
Give her that freedom back to go home to her family and her infant son.
By the way, if you send her to prison, you're going to be separating her from her infant son.
We all sort of were like the reporters in the back row. We're all sort of like, look, did I just hear that she has a child?
The latest bombshell was dropped last night during closing argument.
Turns out it was the appliance repairman. He came to her house, they fell in love, she got pregnant, and she had a baby, all on house arrest.
And right now, we're on verdict watch in the Dalia Dippolito retrial.
I think there was a general expectation that she would be convicted.
A bombshell announcement in the murder-for-hire case against Dalia Dippolito.
We, the jury, feel that we cannot reach a unanimous decision.
The jury telling the judge late today they are deadlocked.
I must declare a mistrial at this time. There were 3 votes for guilty and 3 votes for not guilty.
Courtroom shocker, Dalia Dippolito walking out a free woman after a judge declared a mistrial in her murder-for-hire retrial.
I can count on one finger the number of people in this country who felt we even had a chance in this case.
Whenever you don't get a conviction, you're disappointed. But I knew that we had a great team and we would do it again and perhaps do it a little differently.
Immediately after trial number 2, the state attorney, Dave Ehrenberg, said, "We are taking her to trial again."
There was not a second when we thought that we would let her go free. Not a second.
Prosecutors vowing to try her a third time.
And so now we're going on to Dalia Chapter 3.
This is the third time Dippolito has been on trial for this murder for hire case.
Heading into the third trial, prosecutors are certainly hoping that they can finally close the book on this case.
We knew she tried to commit murder, and she had gotten away with it thus far. And until we heard the word guilty, we were not going to be able to exhale fully.
This is the third time Dippolito has been on trial for this murder for hire case.
Well, the prosecutors for the third trial this time went back to the original strategy of putting on more of a prosecution.
We wanted the jury to get more context. We wanted the jury to see Michael Dippolito.
Introduce yourself to the jury for the record.
Hi, my name is Mike Dippolito.
By humanizing the victim, you impress upon them truly the importance of this case. It's vitally important that they put him on the stand.
Did her arrest for solicitation to commit first-degree murder shock you?
Yes.
Would it work? Well, in this third trial, it didn't take long for the jury to make its decision.
A verdict for the woman on trial in a murder for hire.
Well, some say 3 times a charm, but not for Dalia Dippolito.
She was found guilty in 90 minutes. I mean, we were all a bit stunned. There was apparently no doubt in the jurors' minds.
16 years behind bars. That is the sentence for Dalia Dippolito.
Dalia Dippolito expressionless inside a Palm Beach County courtroom today, moments after learning her fate.
Dalia's current release date is 2032. If she serves the entirety of that sentence, she'd be 49 years old when released.
Dalia, in jail, heads up a Bible study group. She misses her child dearly. Her mom has stepped up immensely to help take care of her little boy. He's a preschooler, and he comes to visit his mom in jail at least once a month. And Dalia has described him as being very playful, very happy, very outgoing. She is still determined to get a new trial and to get vindicated.
Dalia's attorneys have tried to get the verdict thrown out again.
Her case, she tried to get her case all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Earlier this year, the U.S. Supreme Court declined to hear Dalia's appeal.
The Dalia Dippolito saga is finally over. The reality show is done. The last chapter has been written.
We're still fighting, and we're going to file a federal brief to attempt to get a new trial for Dalia.
After she left the prosecutor's office, Elizabeth Parker became Mike Dippolito's attorney and even helped get him off probation.
He paid all of the restitution that was owed to the victims.
Mike got engaged and seems to be moving forward with his life.
How much do you love this guy?
I love him a lot.
It's nice. Sometimes it's hard to accept something this good's happening to you.
He's very lucky to be alive.
It's not been an easy journey for him. He truly thought Dalia was the love of his life.
Did you ever love Mike Dippolito?
Yes. I married him because I loved him. I was in a relationship with him because I loved him.
And now?
Now I wish I never would have met him.
Oh, I feel the same way. I wish I would have made a left, not a right. Trust me.